So coming back, they kept failing the test. And the Lord was letting that rotation keep coming back around, and they may have failed the lust test. They may have failed the lust of the eye test. And they may also have failed the pride of life test. Somewhere in this set, every time God brought this cycle around, they was failing something. And 9 times out of 10, it was the lust of the flesh. Okay. The lust of the eye. Yeah. Because what was more than likely happening is the enemy was bringing false evidence that appeared real to him. And when they saw that, it was messing them up. And God was like, I'm going to have to do something a little bit more intensive to deal with this situation. And then the pride of life. Now, as I'm telling you this, let me go in and talk about, so the lust of the flesh, of course, depending on where these men were, 9 times out of 10, they may have been the male version of the Samaritan woman that was at the well. You done had 5 husbands, and the one you with right now still ain't your husband. They done had all these women, and some of them have a rotation group that they rotate around with. Yeah. I mean, they go from this one to this one to this one to this one, and go back to that one, and then they go back to that one. Who am I feeling today? I'm gonna go to that one. Straight whoredom. Okay, they were operating like that, and then the Lord started cutting them. And before he could send them to you, he said, I'm gonna need to check to see if this one come back around, if you gonna slip and fall back in their bed. Sometimes they didn't. It's like, nah, I don't want that one. Then sometimes the other one did. Then maybe they kind of went over there and they talked and they got drunk with them. Then kind of the next one came. The one that knew how to do what they knew how to do. And then there was the vindictive one. Because one of them was a vindictive one. That's where all the witchcraft has been coming from, because that one's very mad. Okay. So, they had all of these different women. And some of them felt threatened into going back and doing some of that stuff. So, they went back because they let that false evidence, lust of the eye, appear real to make them feel like I'm in fear, so I'm going to go back and do what I did before because I'm afraid of this person and not afraid of God as much. I was like, okay, I see what's happening with you. So then the next, pride of life, meaning when the enemy realized that he couldn't get him one way, and then maybe in this season of rotation he couldn't get him that way, he rotated back around to I'm gonna mess with the your money flow. And it's funny because somebody brought this up the other day, and they were talking about the movie Prince and the Frog. But specifically in the movie Prince and the Frog, the man had went from being a prince to being a commoner to making a deal with a sorcerer that ended up turning out badly. Okay? When he made that deal, he tried to bring in the girl that represented his kingdom spouse, unknowingly thinking that that was going to help fix the problem. Some of you God-ordained spouses, and I'm going to say this Because remember the word I released a while back, they were looking into you. Some of them were using the wrong behaviors because of the people they were associated with that used these kinds of methods that were ungodly, and they were mixing ungodly methods. But as we know, you cannot mix God. You cannot bow your knee to Baal and still serve God. God gonna wash you. Okay? What happened to Samson? When his hair got cut, God was not with him no more. Some of you goddamn spouses got lured into deals by Satan because of the people they were associated with, because they finagled some type of deal, made it sound real good, identical to exactly what God wanted to give to them, and used a person that was believable. Maybe they were the victim narcissist. Maybe they were the Jezebel being controlled by Baal. Brought it right in front of them and they took it. And God will allow it at times. But he got sick and tired of watching the same 3 courses of tests be failed. It's like, you passed that one, you failed that one, you messed up that one. Okay, let's go back around. We're going to do another cycle. Some of y'all been concerned because of the fact that they've been over there with a counterfeit, and God's like, I had to leave them with the counterfeit, because if I didn't leave them with the counterfeit, what they're doing to this man is what's necessary to get that mess out of them. Because if they got to you, they would have been doing it to you. So I'm going to let the counterfeit mess them up real good. Go back and watch my Perfect Match review. That whole review, 8 parts, talks about how the counterfeit jacked the man up just so he could meet his god-ordained spouse. He saw her in the beginning of the film, but he didn't get to have any interaction with her again until the end of the film, after he'd been pruned, messed up, and jacked up. Because that's why some of your god-ordained spouses had to be messed up so thoroughly and tested over and over and over and over and over and over. He was tested by this one and tested by this one and tested by this one and tested by this one. And God was like, how many times I gotta do this? Look at Samson. How many times that woman have to say the same daggone thing and he didn't get it? He mocked her by telling her lies. Because the line that she always used was, until now, you have mocked me and told me lies. Tell me how you might be bound. This woman was telling him she wanted to bind him. Hello? Some of your men walked right into themselves being bound. Come on, God, write this word. Walked right into it. And God was like, I can't send them to you because they bound by her. And they doing it willingly. She's sitting there telling her that she wants to bind them. Here, I'm going to give you something right here that I know that if you do this, this is a sin against God, and it's going to put 1 notch against you. And I'm going to give you this, and this is going to put another notch against you. And I'm going to give you this, and that's going to put another notch against you. And then I'm going to do something that you don't know that I'm doing, and that's going to put another notch against you. And just keep on jacking you up. And they kept going through the cycle over and over and over. Another notch. And you're sitting over here like, God, what in the world is taking him so long? He keep failing the test. He keep failing the test. He'd be over here if it wasn't for the fact that he kept failing the test, and I can't send him until he's done failing the test, done figured out what I've actually been trying to show him all this time, and actually do something to change and stop falling for the same thing. Because see what the enemy will do, he don't do new tricks. He just repackage them different. Maybe it's a different person. Maybe it's a different scenario. Maybe it's ever so slightly, I'm going to just lead you into sin against what God needs for you to do. And then seven or nine sins that God counts in the Bible. I'm gonna keep leading you there, because I know that God's not going to allow you to enter into your blessing if I keep sending these things and you keep falling for it. That's what it was happening. That's why it was taking so long. You said, why is it? Aren't you dealing with him? And then it comes a point in time when God's righteous judgment comes into the picture, and God says, all right, go right on ahead. He had to wait till the fourth rotation, and God said, you know what, I ain't gonna help you this time. And they imprisoned him, bound him up, gouged his eyes out, and then took him into the prison. Took him into prison. And they wanted to parade him around because they literally said, what they literally said, our God has given us our God has given Samson, our enemy, into our hands. These people were trying to set this man up all this time. And because of these three areas, and God tested him and tested him and tested him and tested him, and they kept screwing up. And he's like, all right, I'm going to pull this off for you to show you what's going to happen. Because I done had somebody praying for you. And it's not going to be as bad as you think it is, because this person's still praying for you. Okay? But it's going to feel horrible to you. I'm about to get into that. So, when God starts to turn it, he allows them to get bound. Samson got bound. He was spiritually bound. 3:34 is bound. Okay? Some of y'all have been wondering why they've been shut up, why they couldn't say nothing, what was going on. I'm about to show you. Psalms 88. Here we go. Come on, show me the scripture. So, in Psalms 88, this is what your man's probably been going through when God decided, oh, I'm not going to help you this time. Oh, Lord God, my salvation, I cry out to you by day. I come to you at night. Now hear my prayer, listen to my cry, for my life is full of troubles, and death draw near, and I am as good as dead, like a strong man and with no strength left. Samson. They have left me among the dead. I lie like a corpse in the grave. I'm forgotten, cut off at the core, cut off from your care. That's what it was. You have thrown me into the lowest pit, into the darkest depths. Your anger weighed me down, and wave after wave you have engulfed me. That's what they felt like was going on with them. Then you've driven my friends away. Some of them went through a level. Remember I did the word, it's a wrap, and I talked about how everybody turned on them, and the guy just thoroughly showed him who he was. Yeah, some of their friends showed your God ordained spouse exactly who they were, and they were sitting there like, oh my God, you betrayed me like this? I had all these Judases around me? Oh my God. That's where they were at. And by making me repulsive to them, because God was like, look, I'm sick and tired of you doing this, so I'm going to actually have them kick you away from them. So yeah, they're repulsed by you, and I'm in a trap with no way of escape, because they're operating under their fleshly wisdom and not under their spiritual understanding that you have. That's why you are technical support. How many times I told y'all that? So with that being said, My eyes are blinded. My tears each day I beg for your help, O Lord. I lift my hands for your mercy. Are you wonderful deeds of any use to me dead? Do the dead rise up to praise you? Can those in a grave declare your unfailing love? Can they proclaim your faithfulness in the place of destruction? Can the darkness speak your wonderful deeds? Can anyone in the land of forgetfulness talk about your righteousness? Oh Lord, I cry out to you. I keep on pleading day by day. Oh Lord, why do you reject me? It's not that God rejected him. It's the fact that he tested him. He said, when the Lord bring you a revelation, I'm coming to get you, but I want you to do this from your own will, so I'm going to keep coming. And that's what it was. God kept coming. He kept testing. He kept tapping them on the shoulder. He kept doing that, and they kept ignoring it. They kept running. They kept doing all of this. And when God said, okay, now I got you, I'm going to put you in spiritual suspension. And when I put you in spiritual suspension, you're going to be begging me to come out. I have been sick and close to death. Some of your God-ordained spouses, I've gotten confirmation at least 3 times in relation to this. Some of your God-ordained spouses were physically ill. Like puking ill. Like, they probably thought they were dying. Ill. And it's like, no. You know when God put you through deliverance? It was like, and they came to the realization, is like, oh, this is deliverance. They had to be delivered. I was listening to one of the young women tell a story of when she went through deliverance. And the Lord told her, had an angel come to her and sit next to her on the bed. And a couple days later, it hit her. And when it hit her, from the time that it hit to the time that it ended, it was like a 12-hour period. She just went through chills. She went through all of it. She went in her body. She went through nausea. She went through passing out. She went through having to drink a whole bunch of water. Her heart palpitated. She went through everything. I know when I went through mine, I went through mine like 3.5 years ago. Ooh. I went to a deliverance service on Friday. Saturday, I was okay. I ate something. I thought that something I ate upset my stomach. By Saturday night, I was running to the bathroom. I had to go get me some Pepto-Bismol. I ended up having to go to the hospital that night thinking that there was something wrong with me. They gave me a fluid treatment. Get back by about 4 o'clock in the morning, fall asleep till 7 o'clock in the morning, and back in the bathroom. This went on for 2 days. I didn't eat nothing that second day. I was like, I ain't gonna eat nothing today. I ain't eating nothing. I went to church, I believe. I sat in the Whole Foods because it wouldn't be where I was. And I came back, went to sleep. Next morning, ended up going to the hospital again because I was like, this is ridiculous. They gave me a treatment of another fluid treatment and told me, the doctor didn't tell me this. The nurse told me, go take this. It was not Dramamine. It was some type of tablet that stopped diarrhea. And I took 2 or 3 of those for the next 2 days, and it cut me off. Some of these men got sick. But they needed to be flushed out of everything. So, because like 1 week there, I remember all I was seeing was that word, and I either saw the word or I saw it on the ground. And I was like, okay, he going through something. And my own stomach was upset. And I was like, what's going on with me? When you pray for somebody that's going through something, you'll feel some of these symptoms. Anyway, I stand helpless and desperate before your terrors, and your fierce anger overwhelms me. Your terror has paralyzed me. They done figured out the Lord is the one they need to be afraid of, not man, not this woman, not nobody. God only. They were like, oh, okay, I got you. Got you, Jesus. Your terrors have paralyzed me. They swirled around me like flow waters all day long. They have engulfed me completely, and you have taken away my compassion and loved ones. Darkness is my closest friend. That's what they felt like. Because God bound them up like that. He's like, okay, I'm going to show you for real, what it's going to look like. Okay? Now, let's talk about the lust of the eye. So how would God take away the lust of your eyes? Samson's eyes got gouged out. Some of your God-ordained spouses did not get their actual eyes gouged out. Stop it. They had to go through a actual sight reset. Remember? Okay, hold on. I'm going to give you a scripture. Okay. The Lord gave me Acts 9, and we're going to start on where he's confronted by Jesus. Saul, why do you persecute me? He said, who are you, Lord? He said, I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting. But rise and enter the city, and you will be told what you are to do. The men who were traveling with him stood speechless, hearing the voice but seeing no one. Saul arose from the ground, and when his eyes were opened, God opened his spiritual eyes. But look what happened next. He could see nothing. For the next 3 days, he couldn't see nothing. Your God-ordained spouse, God had to shut off his ability to see in the natural so he could get in touch with him in the spirit. Because he's like, oh, I've been letting you see with your natural eyes. You've been screwing this same test up over and over again. Okay, I'm not going to gouge your eyes. I'm going to just cut your ability off to see. Okay? Because I need you to see with a different set of eyes for a couple of days. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm returning to a message that I gave y'all a couple weeks ago? I think it was a couple weeks ago. You remember when I told you about that episode of Special Victims Unit? They were in the diner and somebody had released a gas, and the gas got into one of the detectives' eyes. But the woman that he's in love with, she been trying to act like she wasn't. She was there. She gets shot. And I told you after she got shot, he had to help her. But he couldn't see. You, in the spirit, have been praying for this man. And your sight, technical support, has led them back to God. And he was able to carry her out with no vision. I'm going to let you sit with that with your spiritual ears for a minute. You have been their sight in the spirit realm. You are their connection to the spirit realm. You have been doing the spiritual work for them where they didn't understand. Now, when God closed their ability off to see, you did the spirit work. So with that being said, let's look at the pride of life. He was tested in his pride of life. And what happened? Samson had strength in his hair. But it wasn't his hair, it was in God. And it was when his hair was cut. The thing that most people don't understand is a Nazarite's, the reason they don't cut their hair is because it represents how long they have been walking with God.